Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Deadly attack on children's hospital in Kyiv. Ukrainian world champion. Russian artillery stats. No deal with Tucker. Orban in Moscow. Electricity partially restored. I just finished writing the recent news, and Russians launched a massive missile strike on Kyiv, and my area turned out to be their target this time, and I had to move this block to the first place. There is no full-fledged shelter near my house, and therefore we hide in the entrance behind two walls when there is a threat of air attack. So I wrote these texts in the entrance while the air defense was shooting down flying missiles. This may sound fantastic how a person talks so calmly about the fact that a rocket could just kill him, but this is probably the 1200th air raid alert in Kyiv, and at some stage you just get used to it. In this video you can see how a smoke from explosion rises in my area. It was loud, but when the air defense is working you simply don't understand from the sound if it was a missile hit or it has been shot down by the air defense. In this photo, smoke rises in the city of Dnipro. Russians carried out a massive air attack on several cities at once, but as stated, most of the missiles flew towards Kyiv from different directions. I wrote these texts in real time without confirmation of a hit, so the second part of this block will be added after the fact. 2 hours have passed since the deadly Russian attack on Kyiv, and photos and videos from the hit site have begun to emerge. Here you see the center of the city at the moment the missile hit. This is where I am today. At the moment when I wrote the previous part of the text, I still can't believe it. So Russians hit the children's hospital Okhmatdyt. The name means Mother and Child Protection Center, not a biological laboratory where they create mutants for NATO army. No, a huge hospital where children from all over Ukraine and in some cases from Europe are brought for cancer treatment. This photo will probably fly around the world today. Poor child, I feel so sorry for this boy who already has a very hard time fighting the disease and moreover hiding from Russian missiles from the very beginning of his life. Just a stolen childhood. In this building there were sick children who were undergoing dialysis, and here you see them taken with IVs near the destroyed hospital. At the moment the exact number of victims is unknown. I believe tomorrow there will be these terrible statistics. While we know that about 10 people were killed in Kyiv alone, there are children under the rubble of the hospital. I'm writing this and I'm getting goosebumps. Let some pro-Putin idiots come and say now that these were all actors and they were sitting in the dressing room waiting to play the role of victims. This video, shot by an eyewitness, clearly shows how the rocket flies straight towards the target, a children's hospital Okhmatdyt. This is not falling debris, not our air defense, not a downed missile. This is a missile that hits precisely where Russian operators sent it. I say this verbatim so that there is no double interpretation of everything said above. Hey, the escalators, Orban, Sullivan, anyone else, let's praise Putin. He clearly wants peace. Children with cancer are dying under the rubble of a hospital in the center of a capital of a European country, and you are all playing a peace plan with a maniac. Let me remind you that Russia is currently the head of the UN Security Council, and today they celebrate the Day of Family, Love and Loyalty. How is this possible? It's so strange now to read the news about the World Athletics Championships, which I wrote a couple of hours before the attack on Kyiv. But this is probably what Putin wants us to be shackled by war and stop living a normal life. But if he hasn't understood yet, he will not succeed. Ukrainian athlete Yaroslava Moguchich set a new world record for high jump in the Diamond League competition in Paris. Yaroslava made a clean jump of 2 meters 10 centimeters the first time and broke the previous record of 2 meters 9 centimeters, which belonged to the Bulgarian Stevka Konstadinova and lasted 37 years from 1987. This is my whole life. I was born in 1987. Just wow. I photograph athletics competitions, and it's very interesting to see how athletes are constantly trying to raise the bar, literally and metaphorically. For a person who devotes their entire life to jumping, every centimeter is an achievement. I really enjoy filming sport events because of emotions. It's super interesting to capture the moments like this. The only question I have is why Yaroslava immediately jumped to a height higher than the current world record. It feels like now the Ukrainians are simply breaking through all the barriers while being on their tight nerves. This sounds a little pretentious, but it's true to some extent. Alexander Usyk, a super world champion in boxing, and today Yaroslava is a world champion in athletics. I'm proud and I'm grateful. We should probably say that a little about the attitude towards Russian athletes, who are not allowed to participate in many competitions. I believe it is a tragedy for athletes to lose the opportunity of a lifetime due to actions of your government. For every athlete, one season is a small life, and one lost season is a small tragedy. I feel sorry for those boys and girls who are left on the bench because their country is limited due to aggressive war, but I don't feel sorry for those athletes in the Z uniform who happily call for killing everyone, killing Ukrainians while they are high jumping or doing spins on the ice. The problem is not with athletes but with ideology. If your reputation of your country and your sports career are important to you, then you must openly oppose the war. Otherwise, you share the collective responsibility of your people and it will only get worse. In the Voronezh region of Russia, a large ammunition depot was destroyed, which detonated for more than a day, and Russians had to evacuate the local population. I cut the sound because there is a lot of wind there and noise. This means only one thing to me: all these shells will not reach to my people. So let them detonate in their place. Now I want to give some analytics on Russian shells. Roman Shrike interestingly described the situation with how many shells Russia has now. We are guided by the fact that Russia will be able to provide its army with 4 million shells during 2024, using all its in-house production capabilities and bagging shells from all its proxies like Iran, Belarus, North Korea, and possibly Syria. According to statistics, we know that in the first year of a full-scale war, Russians fired 12 million shells into Ukraine. Just imagine this amount. Each shell can kill dozens of people. This is simply an incredible amount. During the second year of the war, the number dropped by a third, and Russia fired 8 million shells of large calibers at us in 2023. And now we have a forecast of 4 million for the entire third year of the war, which will already be 30% of the original number. That's quite a difference. Those who say that Russia can shoot endlessly do not see the statistics for all the 3 years. Russia cannot produce more equipment than we destroy at the moment. And here a logical question arises: what about the barrels of their guns? This is a very interesting point, because even having bought, for example, an extra million shells in some dictatorial third world country, Russia will not receive more barrels, which are also very worn out from such a wild number of shots every day. In this terrible quality photo you can see the torn barrel of Russian cannon. Often this happens precisely because of the overusage or low-quality shells like those that North Korea sold to them. Special machines are needed to produce new barrels, which, surprise, Russia itself doesn't produce. Sometimes it seems to me that they don't produce anything themselves. Remember the statement of Russian spokeswoman Valentina Matvienko that it turned out that all the simple iron nails in Russia were imported from Ukraine. They didn't even make their own nails, damn it. And what about Ukraine? We are gradually moving towards 155mm cannons, and our partners are increasing production in different countries. According to open statistics, we can count on the production of approximately 1.7 million shells in Europe alone, and there are also other countries, including India and Pakistan, that can sell us some types of shells. I see that our situation is gradually leveling out and we are approaching parity in artillery. If you didn't know, previously Russia had an advantage of about 8 or 10 guns to 1 Ukrainian gun. It's still amazing to me how we survived it all and continue to successfully fight in such conditions. Remember that at least 6 months of that shell starvation, while the United States agreed on aid package and Ukraine relied mainly on the FPV drones. This is simply a military miracle. Okay, everything has calmed down a little bit, and now talk about Tucker. You probably heard that Carlson announced interview with Zelensky. Looks like we've got the Zelensky interview. We've been trying for 2 years, and with particular intensity after interviewing Putin in February. The point is to bring Americans much-needed information about the conflict that's completely reshaping their country's position in the world. What's interesting to me in this situation is that he described our war as the conflict that's completely reshaping their country's position in the world, and not the fact of the interview itself. I don't like the way Tucker presents information in his provocative manner. I don't consider him a professional in many aspects. The way he praised the French chain mall Orban in Moscow and told how much he liked it in Russia is a cheap trick. In Orban, all products are determined by the head office in France. The only Russian employees are the ones who put the goods on the shelves. And so he emphasizes the importance of the US role in this war and this war for the US image on the world stage. I will not attach much significance to his words, but the turn in rhetoric itself is already interesting. This means that Tucker and his management believe that the stakes have increased and now we should talk about it this way. As a result, Zelensky representative responded online that Mr. Carlson was not on President Zelensky's meeting schedule, so no agreement, come after the victory. A logical continuation of the story with Orban. The Hungarian Prime Minister visited his friend Putin in Moscow. This was to be expected, but it doesn't make it any less disgusting. Overall, we can say that this trip to Kyiv was okay for me. I expected the worst, but his behavior and statements were quite restrained. Now Orban demonstrably went to visit the ideological and strategic enemy of the European Union, as if the Hungarian uprising and the 1956 War of Independence didn't happen, when almost 3,000 Hungarians were killed by Soviet troops and about 20,000 people were injured. This event was literally the result of the Cold War between the USSR and the USA, and now history takes a turn and Russians decided to revive old traditions, and the Hungarian representatives decided that this time they would be on the other side. According to the press, the two discussed the shortest path to peace, which implies that Ukraine, the third party, the injured party, should give up 1/5 of its territory in their opinion. I have nothing to say, it's weird and disgusting. Representatives of Kyiv's administration report that they managed to restore approximately 2/3 of their electricity generating capacity. It was said before today's attack. Colossal work has been carried out and 2/3 of it has been restored. It is important that the latest European technologies and equipment are used. As a result, the energy facilities undergo modernization and become more efficient. It may seem strange, but this is progress that would not have happened without the war. Russians destroyed our old electric systems, which were built more than 30 years ago and simply worked, perhaps not very efficiently. You want to rebuild a power plant while it's running, but now many are destroyed and we simply have no other option but to rebuild them. I'm writing this sitting in a cafe at a gas station, which runs on a diesel generator because I have no electricity at home due to the power plants destroyed by Russia. I dream that we will win this war, return our territories and build a lot of wind power plants. This photo shows a couple I photographed on their wedding day in Mariupol in 2013, a year before the Russian invasion began. This photo was taken in a place which is now under Russian occupation, and here you see wind power plants that we built to make the region more eco-friendly. Right now all these stolen mills are working for Russian industry, but one day we will get them back. Hard day. From 2 o'clock in the morning there were arid and terrible rain during the day. If our psyche works according to the pattern of fight, run or freeze, then in my case it's freeze. I slow down and I just can't do anything. A person who has not been under ballistic fire will never understand how scary it is to be afraid of the sky above your head, and I hope that you will never find out. What can I say? Of course we are tired of all this, but I know for sure that Ukrainians are not ready to give up and lay down their arms, to give up our land and to those who launch missiles at us for the sake of some kind of peace agreement. Peace agreements with Russia are not worth the paper they are written on. Do you want a long-term and just peace? Give us the same amount of missiles and we will see how Russian citizens will want to continue this war. This was my update about the Russian-Ukrainian war for day 866. We have been living in this hell for 866 days. Today I'm angry and irritated and throwing money at drones like they are endless. If you want to help, there are all the links in the description below this video. See you.